How you doing, folks? We're going to continue on the process of making this 1974 1303 Beetle into a nice car to drive. So that involves taking out the dashboard because there's a whole load of stuff in behind there that needs to be addressed. So let's get stuck in and get the dashboard out. You know what? The same people who would balk at the idea of taking out a dashboard in a Beetle are the same people who'd be going on saying, "Oh, you take the engine out in half an hour in a Beetle." I'd much prefer to be doing this than taking out a bloody engine, I can tell you. This is not a difficult job. You just have to be methodical and you just have to make sure that if you need to label something, you label something. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to basically take off the steering wheel and we're going to take off all the switch panels and we're going to take out the speedometer. Actually, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to disconnect the battery. That's definitely something you should do before you start anything else. So yeah, I'll just quickly disconnect that and quick release on it. So literally just a case up. There we go, done. Okay, now big nut in the centre. Take that out, pop the wheel off. Now when you're taking the wheel off, just put the nut back on loosely so when you pull it you don't clap yourself in the face with the steering wheel. I'd like to say I haven't experienced that firsthand, but I have. 24mm nut, by the way, in case anyone's wondering. There we are. Just even by getting that out, it gets you an awful lot of space here, you know. Now I want to see if I can figure out why the horn has been randomly beeping when you turn the steering wheel. So that's one of the things we have to try and figure out here. I think it's probably because that contact is grounding out on its own. Yeah, I see what's happened. It used to, what was happening was, it was every time you'd flick the headlights or put the headlights on, it was beeping the horn, and you can see that actually if you pull that out, it kind of bends that in a little bit. So if that was, although mind you, it's plastic behind it, so I don't see why that would be happening. Yeah, actually it could have been pulling that out, so that should be kind of pushed in a little bit there. We'll clean that up afterwards anyway. At least we can see what the problem is. That's a simple fix. So now that we've got a bit more room here, we can start taking out the switch panel here and the speedometer. Now the speedometer is really just held in with a rubber grommet, or at least it should be. Although I have a funny feeling this one may be held in with Tech 7. Yeah, it's kind of some sort of adhesive in there that's holding it all right. Now it is coming out, so I'm not going to panic just yet. It's just a bit fiddly as all. Now, your speedometer will have a multitude of spade connectors on it, and you need to label them all, okay? Best thing I can recommend is take plenty of photos as well as you go. But what I did was, when I had the speedometer out, I put a multi-plug on the back of it because I don't understand why Volkswagen didn't do that. Same with the wiper motor. There's no multi-plug on the wiper motor that you can just disconnect. You have to route all the wires through for. Come on. And pop the switch panel out first. Now I'll get a little pot or something to keep all my fasteners in as I go. At the moment anyway, I'm just leaving them down on the floor beside me. But in amongst the issues I'm trying to fix by taking the dashboard out, I want to put one of the number 19 Volkswagen relays in for having intermittent wipers. This car used to have intermittent wipers, but when all the wiring was sorted out, it was modded out for some reason. So I want to put that back in. And the other thing as well is all the fresh air controls are just flapping in the breeze down here, and none of the fresh air ducting is in place. So I need to put all that back in. I think there was a level of miscommunication there with the guys who actually put the dashboard in and did all that, because I meant that I didn't need any of the warm air ducting in, but I still wanted the cold air ducting in. So I'm not going to be pointing the finger of blame in that regard, but still in all, it's something that needs to be fixed now. It's now just the beginning of January here now, and I want to have this car ready by May to hit the open road. Look at that. He's put spade connectors in, that's fantastic. Okay, so now I can unplug all of these gauges, and let's see. Need to take some photos first. This is leave them be for the moment. I might be able to just feed them through the dash when I actually go to take it out, or maybe just push the dash off to one side and not have to concern myself with all that. So what you can do is, with these, you can actually just leave the switches connected. You just unclip them and they push out the back. You don't actually need to take the switches off the wiring, which makes life a lot handier. So now I can get to the back of the speedo and push it. There we go. Now the first thing we can do is disconnect our speedometer cable. And once you have the speedometer cable unscrewed, it'll give you a bit more scope to pull this out. And you see the two multi-plugs I have here. Okay. Now we're looking here now. That little lad popped off, but that's no big deal. See, to me that was time well spent. So now when it comes to reinstalling that, it literally just plugs back into those connectors and away you go. So that's the speedometer out of the way with the minimum amount of hardship. So the last thing I need to do then, just to get the switch panel out, is there's a thing for the alarm I have on this car, which is it's like an override. It allows you to disable the alarm if you lose the fob. There you go. That's that out now. That's the switch that will be for my intermittent wipers, but that little piece there actually that was used for is no, it's actually a little blank. It's all right. We'll keep that as it is. All right. Okay. So that's that done. Now, lastly, then what we need to do is I have two gauges down here, voltmeter and clock, and just unscrew them from the dash. Removing the dashboard in a Beetle is it's not a difficult job, as I said, but there's a few little finicky bits and pieces, such as removing the glove box liner. You have to take out the centre catch that actually keeps it, that it closes onto, and then you have to pry down far more than you would feel comfortable about prying, in order to release four little tabs that are along the top. Then you have to take the door of it off, and that involves removing, or at least loosening, four little nuts here, which are 8mm headed, and then the hinges should pivot out of the way. So once we get this out, then we're getting fairly close to looking good now. But yeah, there you go. Okay. So now you only have to loosen one. You have to remove one. So you can see that those hinges just kind of pivot up out of the way. All right. So now that we have the glove box liner pried down at the top, should be able to jockey it out of there now. Okay. Well, what's holding it there, or what's going on? Ah, there we go. All right. Now most cars are not going to have a relay and a switch on the top of the glove box like that, but mine does. So deal with it. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to remove the switch there and the relay, and we will set about getting that out of our way then. No, you won't be able to unless you're willing to fish out the bonnet release cable and all that kind of carry on. You're not going to get this fully out of your way, but you'll get it so it's kind of hanging down, and then it will feed through the opening at an angle, and you'll be able to get your dashboard off then. So yeah, so that's so look pretty good. Next thing to do then is, once we've got that out of the way, there's a row of screws along the top which have to be removed. These are supposed to be row of screws. Oh yeah, yeah, they're in there all right. Row of screws along the top, and screw there, and screw on the other side, and then basically it comes out in theory, and then we can start fluting around with all the other stuff that needs to be done. So yeah, but the thing about it is, doing this one job is going to make a big difference to the ease and standard I can do all of the other jobs too. Like, you know, routing the fresh air, ducting, yeah, you probably could do it without taking the dashboard out, but would the routing be correct? I have my doubts. And I can also address a couple of other concerns I may have in there, you know, get the wiring sorted out for the intermittent wipers, so I can chase them back, and I can do stuff like what else? Oh yeah, I have to put in the drain line that goes down behind the dashboard and stuff like that too. There's a few jobs to be done. Taking this out definitely makes sense. Get it back in again then afterwards. I'm going to disturb as little wiring as possible, and at least that way then, you know, we should be still confident that everything is going to work as it should when we get it all out. But yeah, okay, right. So look, let's continue on. I made a little investment. It's as noisy as hell, but off camera I can use it for heating up the workshop, and this thing is the business. Hey, hey. Looking after my parents' cat at the moment. He's found himself a nice little home up in the eaves. His name is Jeremy. I call him the Big Chunkus. He's a monster. Meow. He's stressed out because he is terrified of the heater. So so long as I'm minding this wally brain here, I'm stuck being cold. So isn't that right, you little fecker? He's a nice old cat, but he's a dope all the same. Like he's as friendly as anything now. I walk out of the room and walk back into it, and you'll scarper as if he's never seen me in his life. Anyway. Okay, so I have the gauges off down there. I have all the switches out. I've got everything disconnected that needs to be disconnected. So now it is time to actually try and take the dashboard out. Now, I was sure there were screws along the top there, but apparently not. Maybe there's a piece missing, which wouldn't be all that surprising. But anyway, let's get the screws that we know exist out. So there's one here, and then there's another one down the bottom, and same on the other side. And then in theory, that should be it. Believe it or not. It's actually not a particularly involved job to take out a Beetle dashboard. Okay, I got that screw out there. So now let's see. Yeah, that's that done. So I'm going to go over the other side and do the same there, and we'll see if the dashboard comes out for us then. Okay. Again, another screw down the bottom and one on the side. Now, should be it now. Make sure nothing's hooked on it. Now, let's see. Oh, that lad down the bottom. Is there a screw holding that on or not? I can't remember now. Look at the closing panel that goes at the bottom of the steering column here. There we go. It was just held up on them. Okay, so that should give us enough clearance to get this out. And we need to get those gauges through that opening in the dash as well. I'm hoping we'll be able to. If we can't, we'll just push the dash off to the side. Really, it doesn't need to come out. It just needs to give me a bit of wiggle room. I might need to take the steering column cover off. Again, not exactly hardship, but All right, now let's see what's missing. So there should be one of these on each side, and there is, but they're not connected to anything. So let's have a look. We'll offer everything up and see how it's all supposed to be fixed together. So yeah, I can see how straight away there's a screw hole there, and that's supposed to be screwed in. And same on the other side. So there are dashboard vents, but you can see also that there are fresh air inlets here and warm air inlets here. So the warm air inlet needs to be connected through there's a hole in the side here which goes down to the heater channel, and there's a duct that goes on there, same on the other side, so we can get them connected on first and then we'll go from there. So let's just see if we can get this dashboard out of our way altogether, because it's just going to get a bit cumbersome otherwise. If we can get the gauge pod through the hole, we'll be laughing. The other option is just disconnect the wires. I did actually take photos of the wires, so it's not the end of the world. There's alright, let's get that out of the way there. Definitely not how I would have done that, but there you go. You know what I need to do is I need to start gathering together the parts I need to actually finish this job. So I'm going to start having a look through what's in the stash of parts that came back with the car after I got it back. So and then I'll disconnect those gauges as well. I just need to cut the heat shrink that goes around them. Actually, you know what? Let's do that first. One thing at a time and all that. Yeah, and just cut off the heat shrink there. I'll make sure I have a photo before I do that, and then we can get that out of our way, put the dashboard outside the car, and then we'll rebuild everything behind the dash and then put that back in. Job's a good one. Right. Okay, so that at least there were connectors put in there, so that makes life a lot easier now. So now we can get the dashboard or the glove box liner will go through the hole. So somehow it does, trust me. So we need to get that through there, and then we can get that out of our way. To be honest with you, hold on now. Let's just leave it over there. Right, now we can do our inventory. In amongst all this crap over here is parts for the Beetle. There's also the windscreen off the purple MG. He didn't want it because it's cracked. So I can kind of understand that. Number plates. So let's have a scout. These are the kind of bits I'm looking for here. See this duct? That's one of the dashboard the dashboard ducts. That's one of the hot air riser tubes that come up from the heater channel. There's another fresh air duct. So yeah, I'm going to root out all of this stuff, and I'll come back to you when I have it all done. Well, I found all my maintenance books anyway. That's really good for stock Beetles and stuff like that, but not much good when you have a modified one. I love the drawings in it, by the way. And I found my Haynes Book of Lies for the 1303 as well, so that could be useful. Hopefully there'll be a drawing for behind the dashboard, so that actually could be useful for this particular task. Alright, so believe it or not, I'm actually after sorting out through all of that stuff that was over in the corner there, and made quite the pile of junk, which is going straight to the dump. Don't worry, there isn't really anything of any value there, so I'm happy to get rid of it. There are a few bits that will be going back into the car at some point, and half the stuff for the fresh air system is missing, so I need to go and buy a whole load of parts. So I'm hoping that somebody will come to my rescue who has a 1303 that they're breaking, because a lot of these are not going to get new. So yeah, there's like sections of pipe, there's to be honest with you, there's loads of stuff. What I need to do is I need to have a look through the maintenance manual, the Haynes manual, see if there's an exploded diagram of behind the dashboard, and pick out the bits I need, so at least I can get all that stuff put together. And as I said, there'll be a few other bits and pieces I need to do behind the dashboard as well as I go. So yeah, I'm going to go and have a look at that, and I'll bring you back when I have made that list. This task has been done very much piecemeal, simply because of the fact that I don't have all the parts I need, and I'm just trying to accumulate stuff. So it's another day, and I'm going to just do a couple of little bits and pieces here. So I got a length of flexible aluminium tube, as you can see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to feed that down into the side of the A-pillar here, and bring it up out of here. And I actually do have all the parts I need to reinstate this vent on this side. So what I can do is I can actually get that in now, and at least that's one piece of the puzzle taken care of. And then we can kind of go from there. So I'll take that off for the moment anyway. We can stretch this out. Might even have enough for both sides. I think we probably will. And we will definitely. So just really a case of feeding that down there without making a mess of it. Easier said than done. The cardboard ducting would probably be better for this, but the thing about it is the cardboard ducting I had is actually it's the wrong diameter for the job. So this is the 50mm ducting which I actually need. The other stuff is like 45mm. It just doesn't go around the piece at the end. So let's see if we can get this in. If we can, grand. If not, we'll just use a section of it to make the cardboard ducting work. Come on, here you go. Don't fight it. Whether or not the duct is just compressing in there or it's actually going down, it'll only compress so far, so it kind of has to. You can get in at it underneath the bonnet as well, so we may have to do that. But let's just see if I can get it this way first. It's just the problem is the bonnet hinge is in the way there. I said it before and I'll say it again. Anybody who said Beetles are an easy car to work on is taking the piss. That MG over there is a far easier car to work on than this is. I'm just going to have a look under the bonnet and see how we're looking. See what I mean? The access is terrible, but it's down there and it's all curled up, so that's not going to work. So need to try and figure out how I'm going to get that in. Strong smell of petrol under here, which there really shouldn't be. I know I'm on top of the petrol tank, but if the petrol tank is smelling of fuel, it's because there's a fuel leak. There's a wire held up on it. Annoyingly, my camera lens is a bit fogged up at the moment on the inside, which is a little concerning, but there you go. So you'll have to stick with me on this. But anyway, I'll just show you. I have the duct in place now. So that's it coming out the top. I decided just to use the one length of duct for here, and if you look in there, you can see that it is attached to the heater channel. So what I actually had to do, believe it or not, was I had to take out the bolts for the bottom door hinge bolts, and yeah, the reason being is because it was actually pushing against where the duct had to go onto. So once I took that out, it dropped on, and I was able to kind of fish it into place. So it wasn't actually too bad, in fairness. So that's it in place now anyway, and it means we can get the rest of the situation taken care of. Okay, so the rest of the duct just attaches onto the side here. So this would be for the warm air. Now, you'd be forgiven for wondering why I am putting the warm air ducting in place when I'm not running heat exchangers. Well, there's a good reason for that. I'm going to be putting an auxiliary heater into the car, which will be feeding warm air through the heater channels. So that'll be under the back seat. So now that's much further down the line, but I want the ducting to be in place. I've got to do something about that camera. You guys can hardly see anything. You'll have to excuse the noise. That's the heater on in the background because yeah, it's freezing, and that's right why the camera fogged up. So anyway, yeah, there's that in. I used a bit of Tessa tape just to hold the duct in place. Annoyingly, given the fact that I was holding a duct in place, I didn't actually have any duct tape for it. So anyway, right, look, it's fine, it'll do the job. So that's that in place. Next thing to do is there is the cold air duct, which goes from here over to this lad here, so we can get that in now, and that means that this whole side is then done, so we will have some sort of fresh air coming out on the right hand side of the windscreen, and then we can worry about the left. You know what, there's really no information about this job on the internet at all, well, none worth talking about anyway, but I suppose that's one of the reasons I'm filming it. Anyway, that's that in place. So yeah, again, I think probably a bit of tape around that part there might not do it any harm, or just even something to tie it up, like a cable tie or something like that, just to wrap it around the steering column so that it's not going to fall off. You know, I mean, it seems to be quite flimsy there. But yeah, so that's one side done, and then we basically do the same for the other side. Now I'll probably just try and use the cardboard ducts that I had for the other side on that side, and make it work, you know, and we can kind of figure things out from there. Throw a bit of tape on that, it'll do fine. This Tessa tape is great stuff. It's for electrical harnesses, but it's very useful for many different applications. Tessa's the brand, you know, but I mean, it's you can get different versions of the same thing, but sometimes you're better off going with the branded stuff. It's just better quality. Sometimes, anyway. Right, so that's just enough to stop that from falling off anyway, so it's not going anywhere. Right, okay, happy days. So that's that side done. Now on to the other side. Okay, so once again, as far as I can go with this, so that's all in place there, and that's just basically it's open to the elements at this end, because I have a piece missing that goes from here over to in there. So yeah, the cardboard duct did the job. It's not perfect, but it'll do, especially for the passenger side anyway, because for the purposes of this exercise it'll do fine. So anyway, yeah, next thing to do then is to get the bits that I need. So again, piece that goes from here onto the centre air vents, and the piece that goes from here onto the heater box, and then I need the two heater control pieces as well. Okay, so it's quite a few weeks later actually, and I've been quite busy in the garage, but not on cars. You might notice behind me there is a two-post ramp, so I've got that there now. It's not wired in yet, so still need to finish that, and I've given the garage a very good tidy up and floored out the loft upstairs. So things like that have been going on in the background, and I've been waiting for parts to arrive for the Beetle. So now I have a few of the parts that we need in order to progress this job, and I'm hoping that we'll be able to get the dashboard in, and what I need to do is just tidy up some of the wiring behind the dashboard and do a few other jobs as well. So let's crack on. So I have the driver's side all done up and everything there, and this is the passenger side duct. Now I had this piece from here to where the duct tape is, and I needed to buy this section here, but apparently I'm missing another piece as well, so I actually had to go and buy this piece, and or sorry, I had to go and make up another section which will fill in the gap. And basically I had an old hoover, so I cut up the hose for it, and I used a solid section in there from the hoover hose as well, along with a bit of RTV sealant, so that takes up that section along with the duct tape to hold it in place, and then that's going to go onto our centre air vent. So yeah, so it's really just a case now of putting that in, and I left a bit of slack just to cut that to size. And but first what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and install the scuttle drain, because it's been cut and it's about that long, so all that would happen is it would drain all over the fuse panel. So yeah, it's not really ideal, is it? So straight away looking in here, I can see that there's already going to be a problem, and that problem is the fact that the space, the hole where the scuttle drain would have come through is gone. Why does that not surprise me in the slightest? All right, fine. You know what? We'll just leave it. I do actually have a new scuttle drain tube, but there's nowhere to put it. Then there's not much point in having it, really, is there? Actually, I am going to put the other tube in. I'm going to just put it down as far as where the hole is supposed to be, and at least that way, then that will direct water away from behind the dashboard and all over the water, the electrics. Besides that, the actual scuttle inside under the bonnet is actually blocked off, so really no water should get down into this. But at least it's in place, and then if I decide to try and kind of make it right down the other end, I can do that. That's the old piece anyway that I actually removed, and here is the new tube. It literally just goes down behind the fuse panel. There's a kind of a channel that it goes down into, sort of. A bit finicky, but let's have a look and see now what we're dealing with here. Easiest thing to do is actually just to remove just to unscrew the fuse panel, so that drops down out of the way. Allows us to put this down behind, and then that goes on there. Reluctantly. Sometimes these type of things you need to apply a bit of heat. Don't forget, we're talking about 45-year-old plastics, but no, not in this case. That's on. Alright, so that's our scuttle drain reinstated, so to speak, as much as is possible anyway. So that's fine. So now I'm going to put the fuse panel back in, and now we are going to have a look and see if there's something I can do at the other end, at least to try and kind of tidy it up. So the scuttle drain is back on, and it's not connected at the other end. I'll have a look and see if there's something I can do just to kind of straighten it out there. But what I want to do now is just put the fuse panel back into place, try and straighten out some of the wires, and then we can get our other fresh air duct in, and then that's all the fresh air ducting done behind the dashboard, which is great. And well, actually, I did get this piece here as well, which actually has to go on there. So that will direct air to the centre air vents. So I had all these parts before I took the car apart. Like, I mean, so I don't know where the hell they're all gone. But I mean, anyway, I had to get that as well. And yeah, so literally just a case now. We get that fuse panel back installed, and yeah, then we'll keep moving. All right, so now we can get this length of pipe in here. So this literally just goes over from the windscreen diffuser kind of thing here over to the centre air vent section. So once we have that in, then we can also look at our centre air vent, stick that on, and then we can offer up the dash and see how everything fits. Okay, so that's on there now. So literally, there's all our wiring for the intermittent wiper relay, which I installed in a different video, which of course you good folks all watched. But yeah, I'm going to be tidying that up afterwards. It works, so that's the main thing. So yeah, we just need to get it finished off. So let's see now. I think if we cut it there, that should give us enough wiggle room. Be very careful to get that out of supervision before using a Stanley knife. And mind you don't wreck your wiring in the process as well. Alright. So push that down there, and then the internal diameter of the Hoover hose is ever so slightly smaller than the internal diameter of the or the external diameter of the pipe it has to go onto, which is typical, but not a major showstopper. It's just a mild inconvenience. much as I don't want to have to do it, I might end up cutting up that pipe that I got just to make it work. Let me have a think about this. Alright, I'm going to do this a different way. I'm going to take out that section on one side, put the Hoover hose bit here, and then just, at least it means that the start and end point in this is the correct way it should be for the car. So, and it also means I don't have to cut up the hose that I'm after getting. Now, let's see. That's actually a better job there now. And before anybody criticises me for using duct tape, it's called duct tape. This is a duct. So this is exactly what this stuff is actually made for. So, yeah. Put that there for a second. Now, this should just pop on here now. There we go, that's on, and that's on. Happy days. Now, there we go. So that's our fresh air ducting in place now for the side air vents. There's a hole in that one, so I'm going to take that one out and fix it. And now that I have the Hoover hose bit, I bought a new shop vac, so I have the old Hoover, which was a piece of junk, and I just decided it's going in the skip anyway. So, but yeah, you see that there? That was taped up, and the tape has come away. Maybe if somebody had used duct tape, then it wouldn't have done. They didn't, so right. We'll get that straightened up and put that back in. All right, so there we have the two ducts in place anyway. Okay, they don't look the prettiest. I could paint them black, but can't be arsed to tell you the truth. The Hoover duct was silver anyway as well. So right, look, it'll do. It'll be fine. You know, it's going to get the air to where it needs to be. It'll be behind the dashboard, so nobody is going to see it. The only thing it needs to do is work. So anyway, next thing to do is we put this little lad on here. So this literally just clips on here, I think. Yep, there we go. And so that is the full set of air ducting in the car. Now, here's where things get interesting, because underneath the bonnet of this car, I got a blower fan motor from a Ford Granada, and I cut a hole in the wiper motor cover box and put the fan on there, right? So that basically means that fan is going to supply fresh air into these vents. But the thing about it is, what you need to do is actually cover off the vent at the top of the bonnet from the inside, because otherwise all that air is just going to go straight out there, and it's not much use there, to be honest with you. So I need to cover that over, and I just basically need to, there's a little piece of ducting that actually goes in there as well. So let's move under the bonnet, and at least that way then we can say all our fresh air ducting is in place then. So here's the motor in question. So I need to take off the wiper motor box here. So it's held on with, there's normally a ring of screws around it, but in this instance it is held on with bolts. Okay, so now just wiggle that out of there. And what we need to do now is find a way of covering over the inside of that air vent. Alright, so there we go. I cut out a piece of, it's actually a piece of guttering, so it's PVC, and just drilled a hole and cut a notch in it for the screen wash jet, and I'm going to get a little stainless bolt. If I have one of those plastic bolts, it might even be better again. But otherwise, I'll put a stainless bolt through that, and a little rubber washer just to protect the paint, and just put that down through the grill at the top of the bonnet. It'll look fine. It'll just be, I have little stainless gutter bolts, so yeah, that'll do the trick, I think. So I was able to find a fibre washer actually, which will do the job nicely just to protect the paint. And see, it's a little gutter bolt. So that literally just is going to be a little chrome spot on the top of the bonnet, and that will hold this in place. Now what I'm going to do before I put this in is actually going to give it a lick of black paint. So at least it's going to, well, it's not going to look as obvious. So I would have preferred to actually have painted it the same colour as the car, but I don't have any of this colour paint, so I can't really do that. But yeah, lick of black paint, and then we'll be in business. That'll do the job absolutely fine. Okay, so what is the state of play at the moment? Well, let's have a look and see. Lots of fresh air coming out of those vents now. Happy days. So, it's really just a case of getting everything buttoned up and back together now. So that is, I need to put the knobs on it, so I'm just kind of pushing them down. Lots of air coming out of the demisters up there. Yeah, happy with that now. So even the fresh air does the job for demisting to a certain degree. So at least I have something to keep the windscreen clear with. So yeah, that's great. Happy with that now. Okay, so now what I need to do is I need to think, is there anything else I actually really need to do behind the dashboard here that is facilitated by actually having the dashboard out? And I actually don't think there is. Aside from just tidying up the wiring a little bit here and refitting it, I think I'm pretty good here now, to tell you the truth. So that means then I can get all that done and move on to other things, including one of the things I want to do is I want to raise up the driver's seat a little bit, and I picked up the Mazda RX-8 rear seats for this car as well, actually, from the same scrapped car. Actually, it was still in the scrapyard. So I wasn't originally going to fit them, but I kind of thought, you know what, if I'm putting in the RX-8 front seats, I'll do the back seat too. So yeah, that's going to be another video now, actually, just doing that alone. But yeah, I think yeah, let's get the dashboard back in. Okay, so my camera battery died, so I've had to charge that up, so I'm just finishing off this video on my phone, but the dashboard is now back in, as you can see. So yeah, at least all of the fresh air ducting is in behind there, and working as well for that matter. So happy days. So next thing to do is I have to actually take the fuel tank out to repair the steering column, because it's going like this. And it obviously shouldn't be doing that, and I need to investigate why it is doing it. And the reason I need to take the fuel tank out is because the UJs for this steering column are under there. So I want to make sure everything is safe. So yeah, so that's basically the next step. And once we have once we got that sorted out, hopefully then when I flash the lights, the horn won't beep.
No.
No. What do you think? Do you like the Beetle, Owen?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll leave it there, folks. Thanks very much for watching, and yeah, there's plenty more to be done on the car, but at least I'm back to making a bit of progress, and I've my little helper here as well. So yeah, listen, don't forget to hit the subscribe button before you go, and I'll chat to you soon. Thanks for watching.